Before we begin, thank you very much to Aaron E. for joining the Patreon campaign over at patreon.com/TJOmega. Thank you very much for the contribution to help keep this channel afloat, keep it alive. You genuinely do not know how much I mean it when I say that Patreon keeps this channel going. So thank you very much to everyone who allows me to continue being the funny YouTube toy man. So, it is a top 10 time, or a here's 10 around here, because these aren't in any particular order. It's a little bit early to be throwing around something of the year, best/worst of 2023, because we still got a few weeks left. But the truth is, I don't think there's anything Transformers can do in the next 3 weeks that's going to be any more disappointing than what we're talking about in today's video. Not to mention, it's not the only top 10 I want to do in order to round out the year. So in order to actually cover bases and make sure we have time for it all, we got to start now. So welcome. This is the top 10 disappointments in Transformers for the year of 2023. And we are going to start in the toy department, where I had a grievance everyone had because all of us had to stare at these massive walls of these stupid little rubber band figure things, these things. Man, if anything was made specifically so it could be thrown into a wasteland, it was this. They're flex changers, and the premise is fine. It's a rubber band, essentially, or a rubberized plastic band that holds a car together in one mode. You pull it inside out, and then the same band holds everything together in robot mode, right? So you technically have this thing that should work, It should, just flip inside out and work. It doesn't work. None of these things worked. I mean, I figured, I got the Cheetor, and I hated it, and I thought, maybe it's just the cheetah. Maybe it's just beasts are hard to do this way. Maybe one of the cars would work better. But I didn't see anyone defend these things. I didn't see anyone go, oh yeah, the Bumblebee came out great. No, they're all just these super awkward toys that didn't look good in either mode and didn't feel good to transform. I felt like I was going to break it at any time. So, and yeah, the shelves were cluttered with these things. I have no idea what they were thinking, but it was frustrating. When I'm looking for new stuff to come in, I'm actually looking for interesting product, and this is the stuff that's littering the shelves. I mean, as far as gimmick toys, yeah, dead on arrival. At number 9, we have to think back to all of the reissues that are being done at Walmart, and while the G1 reissues are continuing, did anyone even notice that the Beast Wars ones just kind of stopped? So this year saw the final release, what is apparently the final release in Vintage Beast Wars, and that was Iguanus, oddly enough. Another figure that was charged up from being basic to deluxe, and everyone loved it when they did that. I can understand. So I do get it that they ran out of usable molds, so they just started doing whatever ones were lying around, which is why we get retracts of all figures. But we've seen Hasbro in the past willing to recast molds in order to do proper reissues. We saw that with Soundwave. We saw that with G1 Prime. And it just boggles the mind. Why wouldn't you do that for Beast Wars so you could re-release major characters? So you could re-release the more popular Transmetals? So you could do the more classic characters like Dinobot? Why would you not go the extra mile here the way you did with previous lines? And I'm assuming that's just because Beast Wars isn't as marketable as G1, because nothing is. Point being, it was an exciting thing to see because it gave you a good chance of getting some neat toys that hadn't been available in a long time, and it was a great way of celebrating Beast Wars' anniversary. But you would think Rise of the Beasts would put in all the nostalgia you needed to get this to take off, and in the year of Rise of the Beasts, they had one figure of a character who wasn't in the show. And that is how the reissue line dies, with the meagerest of whimper I could imagine. Here's one we're going to be talking about a lot more later because I went in with curiosity and immediately regretted it. So, Transformers Earthspark Expedition is a thing that exists. That's the disappointment. That's the whole disappointment. Earthspark got an actual video game. Okay, great. It was made by a company known for low-quality shovelware that handles a lot of C-rank, franchises that frankly Transformers should be above. And it's another in a long-running line of this franchise just having no luck whatsoever in the video game department. I played about 10 minutes of this game. And I encountered so many things that just like made me shake my head that I had to turn it off because I decided there's no way I can actually continue playing this without recording it and getting my reaction. I didn't even make it out of the tutorial area before I made this decision. It's that bad. And it deserves so much more. When you have such good source material, why does it come out like this? I don't know. I have some hope that we're finally in line for a good Transformers video game because they're so rare and few and far between. But stay tuned for later in this list for more on that. At number 7, I have to go back to the Rise of the Beast toy line because, while it made a lot of weird decisions and it made a lot of really weird products, some of them are actually amusing. Some of them are actually pretty cleverly engineered. But it's the line we couldn't find that I'm kind of frustrated over, and that was the Core series. So this one isn't entirely Hasbro's fault. When Paramount delayed the movie by a year, this line got held up. This was supposed to be what we got during the movie's actual launch. And then closer to the DVD release, or a few months after, that's when Studio Series was supposed to drop with these more on-screen accurate figures. But because the studio delayed the movie, it meant they tried to cram these into the shelves at the exact same time. What you got was a sloppy release where the two Voyagers of the line, Optimus Prime and Rhinox, were barely visible or findable at Walmart, and the deluxes you could only get in multi-packs at Target. One of which was easy to find, the other of which not easy to find, which kind of left everyone just kind of scratching their heads and rushing around trying to figure out how to get a hold of a lot of this stuff. And the thing is, there are actually some pretty good figures in there. I think the Rhinox is better than the Studio Series. I like the Mirage better than the Studio Series because it's more fun to transform. And the Air Razor is brilliant. It's a fantastic figure. It's not Hasbro's fault that all the release schedules clashed like this, but it doesn't help things that, like the overglut of movie product that came out for Rise of the Beast was made worse by the fact that a line was supposed to come out a year ahead, now had to get crammed into the middle of all of it. And it's a shame because if this line had been able to continue and do more characters, I think it would have produced a lot of fun toys. And instead, it's just kind of this weird thing they did in the middle with a confusing name because we already have something called Core Class. I don't know. It was upsetting. And the more times I got to experience these toys and realize, hey, they're actually pretty nice for their price, the more I was upset over this all happening. So it makes the list. So can someone tell me what happened to Masterpiece this year? I mean, I thought they were supposed to be in some kind of rebuilding period after Hound and trying to regain everyone's faith in the franchise, but it really feels like they went into stasis lock all of a sudden. They only had, as far as I was counting, they had 5 releases in the normal Masterpiece line, and all of them were repaints. There were no new Beast Wars Masterpiece outside of a black repaint of Lio Convoy, and only one new mold amongst them, which was Jetfire, which, is kind of cost prohibitive. There wasn't any like new mold, affordable release done at Masterpiece this year. It seemed like all focus was on getting more of the train bots out, and from what I can tell, those still don't have a really good reaction to them. For a set that we finally see the complete form of this year, it really feels like a lot are kind of turning against it. It's not, I've seen breakage problems with the ones that are released. I have seen people upset about how the final combined mode came out. for something that's costing collectors like around $1,000 to get, it just feels like Takara put all their eggs into a very disappointing Easter basket of misery. Meanwhile, the Masterpiece line, which really still needs to work on its good graces, just kind of seems to be in neutral right now. I mean, even Jetfire had reports of some QC issues. And of course, it's a white plastic figure, so give it about another year and we'll see how well it holds up. It just feels disappointing, I mean, at least like even Movie Masterpiece was really limited this year. They got Bone Crusher out at the last minute, and Bone Crusher's great, but then again, they also just kind of relied on repaints. And it's disappointing in a line where everything used to be, 5-star out of 5-star out of 5-star, and, we used to have a pretty consistent release schedule for it. It just feels like the whole line's floundering, and all of the QC issues from a couple years ago, I still don't feel like they've made up for, It's knowing where it came from, it's just kind of disappointing to see the line just mostly just there. At number 5, here's a topic we covered in an entire video dedicated just to itself, and it is still confusing to me to this day. Where is Hound and Hatchet? So now this is in an interesting little, void where we don't really know what is going on in this department. So admittedly, Hasbro is, again, not technically at fault here, outside of the fact they sent production images and promo images to a few sources that shouldn't have had them yet. But that was over a year ago, and they are still radio silent. Look at this. Even with this guy out, they still will not acknowledge that there is a Hound version in the works. And now there's even more confusion because we have Origin Wheeljack, who was originally slated to be Buzzworthy Bumblebee, who is apparently now still a Target exclusive, but not Buzzworthy. So when these two toys are supposed to be Buzzworthy, now I'm kind of wondering where they land. Do they go back into their respective lines? Or are they still going to be exclusive to Target? I don't know. I genuinely don't know. Now things have gotten weird. Now things have gotten really weird with these. And it's already weird that Hasbro won't even acknowledge it. Even though we've seen these pictures for over a year, they still will not say that they exist. Which leads me to wonder if something even worse happened to them that they're not telling us. Super odd. Super odd, and yeah, I'm just like begging. Like, anyone, tell me these toys are real at this point. Especially poor Hatchet. Poor Hatchet's never had a proper representation of himself before. I don't know. Maybe next year. Maybe 2024 is the year of Hound and Hatchet. Who knows? So I mentioned one of the most disappointing things of the year is the fact that Earthspark got a really bad video game. Well, it's not the only video game for Transformers that had bad news this year. In fact, Reactivate had absolutely no news. After being announced at the Game Awards last year, this year's Game Awards came and went without so much as a peep from the developers. And all throughout the year, we were just kind of wondering what happened to it. Now there's toys for the video game out, which would normally indicate this is the window where they expected these to be released. This is about the window they expected the game to be ready, and we still don't know what's happened to it. The sole update that we have had all year is the fact that they are moving to the Unreal 5 engine. So, okay, fine. It's going to perform and look nicer, but it does mean waiting even longer. And, at some point, I'd like at least some update. Show us what the characters look like in the game. Tell us what the plot's going to be. How does the game even play? We don't even really know that. It's super frustrating, I almost worry that this is going to be our Silk Song, This is going to be the one that, like, we know it exists. We know someone's working on it, but we don't know what state it's in. And we don't know when it'll actually come out. So hopefully they actually do update. They say they're going to update us in 2024, but at this point, it's looking a little bit grim. Speaking of Transformers get absolutely no support, is it just me that's upset by what they are doing with Earthspark right now? So, the toy line-wise, keep in mind, this is already a toy line that gets next to no attention from Hasbro. They don't do streams announcing new products or demonstrating it for us or telling us how excited they are to do this new figure of Twitch and Thrash or whatever. No, they don't bring it up in the live streams. You know, they might announce it for like a Transformer Tuesday. Hey, this is up for pre-order. But even that is kind of hit and miss. And meanwhile, the streams are nothing but Studio Series Generations. You know, understandably, they're for collectors, so they don't think the kids line should apply. But part of the reason the kids lines don't do so well is because they put this really weird half focus on it. You know, the toys themselves are subpar compared to Generations. They get a lot of weird gimmicky figures that I see cluttering shelves that don't seem to be selling. You know, we know they could do better, but for one reason or another, they just don't. And it gets frustrating. It's frustrating as well that the entirety of season 1 is now out, and there's no way of getting a consistent set of Terrans. There's no full figure for hashtag at all. I think all she has is a Tacticon, and that is it. And Tacticons don't sell well, so good luck finding her, because she's not wave 1. You know, she's supposed to be the largest one. There's no large toy of her. You know, there's no way of, like, it's so frustrating. To have such a good cast of characters and have no way for them to look good on a shelf together is infuriating. And it's the kind of thing that I don't see Hasbro going back and doing later. You know, you see we have exactly one RID 2015 character in a modern line. That's Strong Arm. We have exactly one Rescue Bot in a modern line, and that is Chase. How long do you think it's going to be before they actually do a full set of scale Terrans? I don't think they're going to do it at this point. And then even a lot of the other figures we're getting is just lazy. You know, Starscream's just a repaint of his Cyberverse toy, which doesn't look like Earthspark Starscream. You know, Breakdown is getting a one-step changer that's just a repaint of Wheeljack. It's crazy to me that the toy line based on the cartoon used to be the main thing they focused on, and now it's an afterthought. And you wonder why the toys never sell, because you never make the toys the way they could be. Kids aren't dumb. They're not going to buy bad toys. You know, collectors aren't either. So you end up making products that don't work for anybody. It's a great cartoon with great characters, and I want to buy great representations of those characters, and I want Hasbro to actually show they care about them. But so far, I don't see any of that. Obviously, the biggest thing of the year is Rise of the Beast, so I would be remiss if we did not mention that series as well, that, you know, toy line, movie, whatever. However, we're going to be talking about the fact that the movie itself learned absolutely nothing. Critics liked Bumblebee a lot more than they liked a lot of the Transformer movies. The audiences liked Bumblebee way more than they liked the most recent Transformer movies. Was it a billion-dollar blockbuster? No, but it did decent for what it was, and it had people actually excited for what the next Transformer movie was going to be. When they bring back Optimus, when they bring back a bigger cast, and they actually take what they learned from Bumblebee and apply it to a brand new movie, and actually see what they can do from there with no Michael Bay involvement and actually doing something fresh. And then they did absolutely nothing fresh. They got by the same way they did the last few big Michael Bay movies. It's the exact same movie with the exact same formula, but now there's dinosaurs. Same movie, same formula, but now there's dragons. Same movie, same formula, but now there's beasts. MacGuffin plot, big overblown battle scenes, exact same setup, kill off all the villains at the end because we don't want to invest in our villain cast anymore. Just point after point after point. You know, it just became another Michael Bay movie with a different director, and audiences didn't turn out for it. Worst performing movie of any Transformer movie so far. You know, no surprise. You did the exact same formula that everyone got tired of at the last night. And you expected it to work now? The movie learned nothing from Bumblebee. For all the good graces Bumblebee earned us, amongst fans and critics, and for the success Bumblebee had after the last night tanked, and they got nothing for it. They just went back to the exact same movie and got the exact same result as the last time. And I guarantee you, if there is a Transformers 8, and I don't mean Transformers 1, I mean Transformers blank of the blank, whatever the next one's going to be, I guarantee they're going to try the exact same formula again, and it's going to do even worse, and this franchise is in trouble, and I hate it. So what could be number one on this list? What could possibly be more of a disappointment in Transformers than how Rise of the Beast turned out? A movie I actually liked, but still acknowledge they did everything wrong that they could have with it. Well, because there is one thing that was just super frustrating for every Transformer collector, and that is the continued issue with distribution. On screen right now is Thundertron from Transformers United. You can currently buy this on Amazon for normal price, and you will actually get it at normal Amazon shipping times, about 5 days or so. It's not too bad. For a toy that was supposed to be coming out 2 months from now. And this continues to be a problem. You pre-order something that's not due till October, and it comes out in July. See, I have a lot of expenses in July because I have a convention that I go to every year. So when things like that hit my bank account I'm not expecting, that kind of screws up my vacation plans just a wee little bit. And this happens to a lot of people. I'm expecting to pay for this big masterpiece, not masterpiece, but like Commander class toy. I'm expecting to drop $90 on a Commander class toy in November. Oh, no. Hey, you got bills in August? Too bad, you're $90 short now. And when you're buying whole waves, I am currently sitting on a whole list of pre-orders that just came in, and they're coming in at the same time, and they weren't supposed to be in for another 2 or 3 months. I've got a really big expense coming up in January. I didn't need this now. I didn't need these pre-orders filling now. And I know it's just cancel it and move on, but, also, I kind of do this professionally, so I do need to get them when I have them available. So it sucks. It sucks. And I don't know why. I don't know why distribution is like this now. On one hand, it's great to get things faster, but on the other hand, it sucks to have your entire budget screwed up because Hasbro isn't controlling the flow of product properly. It's not just that. That's the frustrating element of it, right? But it's also the fact that you can't tell who's going to get it in first. Sometimes Pulse gets it in first, sometimes Big Bag gets it in first, sometimes Amazon gets it in first. So now you're basically just gambling. You put your pre-order down, you hope for the best, or you're one of those crazy people that pre-orders everywhere and whoever gets it in first, that's the one you keep. Good luck if they come in at the same time, right? I don't know why this continues to be a problem. It throws off everything. It's impossible to plan a budget around being a Transformer collector right now. You're just as well at this point, just wait until you see it in a normal store. What's the point of a pre-order if, you guarantee you get it, fine, but I want to get it when I expected to get it. And I didn't want it to interfere with all the budgeting that I have to do in my private life and my professional life at the same time, Can you tell how many times this has screwed me over? Can you tell how many times this has frustrated the hell out of me? And I know I'm not the only one. I know this is a lot of people right now. And it just seems like it's absolutely fixable, and I don't know why it's not. So there you go. A bad movie is one thing, but this is a problem that's been persisting for over a year now. I want it fixed. So those are the top 10 disappointments I have in Transformers this year. I'm sure I didn't include all of them. Let me know which ones I missed in the comments below. And as always, I will see you next time.
We parlay with the captain.
You would think a werecroc is going to listen to elvish rules of piracy.
Of course it would be the freaking elves that invented parlay.
I had to think of a quick replacement for the French.